What's going on, good peoples? We back with part 2 of the J.Raw Wrestling Podcast for, what's this, March 14th, 2021. It's been a little minute, just went through and did the AEW recap block where I recapped the pay-per-view that was last Sunday, which was Revolution. Then I did BTE, quick dark recap, and then a recap of Dynamite. Now it's time to get into a little Impact, and then Ring of Honor, and then New Japan, and then we're going to take another little break. Alright, so real quick before we get into Impact, want to go ahead and give quick plugs and shout outs. First and foremost, plug in the Big Bro show coming up in a couple weeks. That's April the 10th. Once again, another showcase for Herbs and spoken word. And also it's a double feature because he also going to be doing a comedy show that night. And it's going to be held at the Maplewood Mall right there, 54 Maplewood Mall here in Germantown. So if you want more info, you can check out Big Cuz on the social sites at Instagram and on Facebook at DJ Hardcore Productions. Also, you can go at Eventbrite.com/DJ Hardcore Productions. You can get more info there, and also you can buy tickets and check out the VIP packages. Also want to quick plug all the Facebook groups I'm involved with. Wrestling Marks Worldwide. Shout out to Russell Cave, my boy Geechee Geech, and 30 Case. What up, y'all? Also shouting out True Hills and Sid Polo III. Alright, so got the shout outs and the plugs out the way. Let's go ahead and get in the Impact, alright? Alright, so we gonna get into, now this is the Impact before this weekend's pay-per-view that just passed, which was Saturday. So this is the recap for March the 9th, which was the go home show for Sacrifice. Alright, and it starts out with look like a singles match between Tasha Stills with Karen Hogan versus Jazz with Jordan Grace. Now the two lock up before Jazz dropped Tasha repeatedly, and Tasha rolls out of the ring to regroup with Kiera at ringside before getting back inside the ring, taking Jazz down. Tasha and Jazz exchange side headlocks with head scissors before Jazz goes into submission, and Tasha hits a flurry of running moves in the corner before a jumping neckbreaker for 2. Tasha locks in a rear chin lock before running into the post, and Jazz gets a near fall off a small package before Tasha hits a Falcon Arrow for a near fall. Jazz comes back with strikes and a Samoan drop before Tasha hits a code breaker and Jazz a sit down power bomb for a near fall. Now Jordan then takes out Kiera at ringside before Jazz locks in an STF and tap for the tap submission for the win. So there you have it. Jazz makes Tasha Stills defeats Tasha Stills and go over via pinfall. Well, excuse me, via submission with the STF. My bad, y'all. Alright, so next up, we get a backstage interview with ODB ahead of her challenge for the Knockouts Championship before Susan challenged her to a match later on tonight. Alright, next we get Trey Miguel backstage checking on Sam Bill, who has been manipulated by Sammy Callahan before they agreed to a match later tonight as we go to commercial. Alright, we come back for commercial. We get a video package for the Impact World Championship match between the champion Rich Swann and the challenger Moose at Sacrifice this Saturday. Alright, so after the video package, we get a match between Rohit, Raju, and Cher versus James Storm and Chris Saban. Rohit and Chris start off the match by running the ropes before Chris drops Rohit for 2 and James double up on Rohit for 2 before James tosses Rohit in the corner. Cher and James then exchange strikes until Cher boots James before Chris gets the hot tag, and he and James get the 2 as we go commercial. We come back from break and Cher is in control of Chris before he gets the hot tag to James, who takes out both Cher and Rohit before hitting Rohit with a spine buster for a deep 2 count. Chris hits a tornado DDT before everyone hits a move until Cher and Rohit start arguing over who will hit the finisher James before Chris takes out Cher at ringside. James then hits Rohit with a lawn blower before Chris hits the cradle shock for the pin to win. And there you have it. James Storm and Chris Saban go over on Raju and Cher via pinfall. Alright, now backstage, Triple X is arguing with Reno Scum before Decay walk up and mock them before Decay and Reno agree to a match at Sacrifice as we go to commercial. Now backstage, James and Chris confront EY and Joe Doring over their treatment of Diener before the 3 beat down James and Chris as we go back to commercial. We come back from commercial break to Myers in Scott D'Amore's office, where Scott makes an Extreme Rules match between he and Eddie Edwards for Sacrifice. Alright, so next up, we get Trey Miguel versus Sam Bill with Sammy Calla. Sammy attacks Trey from behind before Trey drop kicks him and lock in a figure 4, forcing Sam to tap out with the win in a matter of seconds. And in a squash match, Trey Miguel defeats Sam Bill via submission. Now after the match, Sammy teleports to the ring, pile drives Sam before disappearing as Trey looks on in horror, unable to stop him. Backstage, James and Chris cut a promo about being attacked by Violent by Design, where they say they are happy to go through Joe and Diener at Sacrifice before Jake shows up and say that he'll be in their corner as we go to commercial. We come back from break to the contract signing of the Impact World Tag Team Championship match at Sacrifice between the champions, the Good Brothers, and the challengers, Finjuice. The 2 teams get drunk when they're signing the contract before Finjuice throw the whiskey in Carl's and Doc's face and the 4 brawl. Alright, so next up we have Austin Ace with Madman Fulton versus Chris Beck. Ace backs Chris into the corner before Chris strikes him and hits a cold red for 2 as Ace hits a springboard corkscrew senton for 2. Chris dodges the fold and rocks Ace with a back elbow before hitting the Ingazuri before Ace rocks Chris up and top, and Chris counters the suplex. The 2 then spill off the top down onto the floor as we go to commercial. We come back from break and Chris is in control before Ace hits the drop toe hold into a spinning diving leg drop for 2 before Chris hits a vertebraker for a near fall. Ace rolls out of the ring before Chris can hit a finisher before Fulton gets between Ace and Chris and Ace drops Chris with an Ingazuri at ringside. TJP then sits on the stage before Fulton runs him off and Chris hits a cutter into a springboard cutter for the pin to win. And there you have it. Chris Bay defeats Ace Austin via pinfall. Now at Swingers Place, TJP and Josh Alexander exchange words as we go to commercial. Now we come back to commercial, and backstage, Rohit scolds Cher for costing him their match before he nearly crushes Rohit's skull and tells him that he doesn't owe Rohit a damn thing. Next up, we get ODB versus Susan. ODB beats Susan around the ring before hitting a running splash in the corner into a Bronco Buster and a fallaway slam that sends Susan out of the ring as we go to commercial. We come back from break to ODB getting 2 off of a diving Thez press before Susan locks in a full Nelson and a transition for a near chokehold. Susan then pours the alcohol out of ODB's flask before hitting a Samoan drop for a pin to win. The winner is ODB going over on Susan via pinfall. Now after the match, Deonna Purrazzo and Kimberly come out and attack ODB before they're taken out by Jordan and Jazz before Karen and Tasha come out and the heel stand tall before leaving. We get a rundown of the card of sacrifice for this Sunday. Next, we go backstage to Scott talking to someone in his office before we go back to the Impact Zone as Moose is in the ring before Scott leaves and go out of the ring to address Moose as we go to commercial. We come back from break to Moose in the ring before Scott comes out, and he asks Rich to come out before announcing that the Impact World Championship match and the TNA World Championship will be on the line for a unification match. Scott's announced that the winner of their match will main event Rebellion against the AEW World Champion Kenny Omega before the 2 champions face off as we go to the air. Backstage, we see Scott was talking to Don Callis, who's talking to Kenny on the phone and says that their plan is going exactly as they wanted to, and we go off the air. All right, so that was Impact for last Tuesday, March the 9th, which was a pretty good show. Like I said, it was the go-home show setting up Sacrifice. In episode 19, I'll go and recap Sacrifice that went down this Saturday, which was yesterday. All right, so next up is the recap for ROH, which was March 7th. All right, so the show starts off with Quinn McKay checks in backstage after the usual RH signature video package. McKay plugs tonight's #1 contenders match between Jay Briscoe, Jay Lethal, Matt Taven, and EC3. A video package is shown on Josh Woods and Dalton Castle. Josh Woods and Dalton Castle make their entrance, and next up we get the Pure Rules match, which is Josh Woods versus Dalton Castle. All right. Now, Castle back Woods to the ropes. Woods back Castle to the corner. Woods eventually gets Castle up into a fireman's carry position. Castle gets out of it, and then Castle goes for his bang the ring finisher on Woods. Woods tries to turn it into a pin attempt, but then Castle turns it to a pin attempt of his own for a 2 count. Castle ducks a clothesline attempt by Woods, then Castle grabs at the back of his neck, feeding an injury. Castle rolls up Woods for a 3 count, and there you have it. Dalton Castle goes over Josh Woods in the Pure Rules match via pinfall. Alright, then after the match, Silas Young comes out to the ring with a microphone in hand. Woods questioned where Young has been. Young tells Woods that he still has a lot to learn about pro wrestling, and Young talks about knowing on one way to teach Woods is teaming and kicking you know what. EC3, Jay Lethal, and Matt Taven, and Jay Briscoe make their entrances. Maria Kanellis also make her way to the commentary table. All right, so next up in a main event match is the number one contenders match. We have Jay Briscoe, Jay Lethal, Matt Taven, and EC3 in a four corners match. Now, all the men shake hands with the accession of EC3 and Jay Briscoe. Briscoe refused to shake the hand of EC3. Briscoe strikes EC3 several times in the corner. Their fight spills to the outside, and Briscoe sends EC3 into the ring barrier. Taven and Lethal exchange strikes in the ring, and then Lethal hits an arm drag on Taven. Taven eventually hits a DDT on Lethal, and then Taven ascends to the turnbuckles. Lethal gets up, runs towards Taven in the corner, but Taven jumps over Lethal, rolls through on the mat. Lethal runs towards Taven in the opposite corner. Taven gets his boot up and connects with Lethal. Taven kicks Lethal in the face with a springboard from the second rope. Taven connects with knee strikes to face of Lethal. Taven pins Lethal for a 2 count. Vita Von Star distracts Taven on the apron. Lethal hits a cutter on Taven, then Lethal hits his lethal ejection finisher on Taven, and Lethal gets the pin over Taven for the win. And there you have it, Jay Lethal going over on Taven in the four corners match via his finisher lethal injection. Then at the end of the match, you get Lethal celebrates his win as the show come to a close. And then you have the episode of Ring of Honor for March the 7th, 2021. All right. I'm going to take a quick little restroom break and a water break, and then come back with the New Japan recap. And then we're going to go ahead into wrestling news. And then we're going to go ahead and hit the top 10. And then last but not least, the hot spot and the botch of the week. All right, so stay close. Peace. All right, we back with the little water and restroom break. Once again, this is the J.Raw Wrestling Podcast, episode 18, part 2. Real quick, gonna go ahead and plug Big Bro and the showcase, DJ Hardcore Productions showcase coming up April the 10th at 54 Maplewood Mall right here in Germantown, right off of Green Street. Make sure you go to eventbrite.com, get more information. Also, you can hit Big Cuz up on the social sites at DJ Hardcore at Instagram and Facebook. All right, so got the quick plug in. Also, don't forget, all you businesses, people with aspiring clothing lines, whatever the case may be, I do ad reads. If you want more information, you can email me at struggle, STRUGGLE radio@gmail.com, and I'll be more than glad to send you any information about our ad read prices. For 30-second read, they're as low as about $30. All right, so get at me, or get at us, me and DJ Hardcore. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get into this quick New Japan recap. I'm not gonna go over each night in the New Japan Cup that's going on right now. Just going to recap night 7, which was yesterday morning, and we had Tomohiro Ishii, Yoshihashi, and Toriyano defeat David Finlay, Yoshi Titsu, and Gabriel Kidd you had the Empire of Will Ospreay, Great O'Khan, and Jeff Cobb defeat Zack Sabre Jr., Tachi, and Doku. All right. Then you had another six-man match. Sorry, y'all. Had another six-man match with Jay White, Evil, and Bad Luck Fale of the Bullet Club versus Hiromu Tanahashi, Juice Robinson, and Toa Henry. Then you had Hiroshi Tanahashi, Joe Henry, and Juice Robinson defeat Chase Owens, Jay White, and Kenta. Then you had two New Japan Cup second round matches. You had Kenta go over Minoru Suzuki. Then you had Shingo Takagi defeat Hiroki Goto. All right, so just a quick update of the New Japan Cup standings. On the left side, we have for the quarterfinals, Evil versus Toriano. Then you have Shingo Takagi versus Kenta. And on the right side, in second round matches, you have Will Ospreay versus Zack Sabre Jr., Sanada versus Yuji Nagata, David Finlay versus Yoshihashi, and Jay White versus Hiromu Tanahashi. All right, so now we're going to get into somewhat favorite part of my part of the podcast, and that's the wrestling news. All right, so we're going to start off with the TV ratings for last week, which was March the 9th. We had we had Raw, which was at 1.896 million viewers. Impact was at 144,000 viewers. Dynamite was 743 viewers. NXT was 6,991 viewers. SmackDown was 2.010 million viewers, and that was it. All right, just some quick WWE news. NXT for Takeover for Mania. It's going to be 2 nights. It's going to be called NXT Stand and Deliver, which will be April 7th and 8th, which they'll air on April 7th, USA, and then April 8th will be on Peacock. All right, we got our first inductee into the class of the 2021 WWE Hall of Fame. Congrats to Molly Holly. Okay, now, according to David Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, John Laurinaitis is back at WWE as head of talent relation, and he will report directly to WWE Executive Vice President of Operations, Brad Broom. All right, Wrestling Inc. first reported that Andrade requested his release from WWE on Monday at the Raw tapings, but Fightful has confirmed that. But now Fightful also has confirmed, and Wrestling Inc., that WWE has denied his request for a release. All right, in AEW news, Fightful spoke with names backstage at AEW Revolution and confirmed to the Wrestling Observer radio report that Kenny Omega was upset about the situation unfolding the way it did. They were told that a third-party rigging crew responsible brushed off the situation and weren't apologetic about the way things happened, leading to a pretty significant heat on them. One wrestler joked with Fightful, that they wish the rig crew would have got that kind of heat during the main event segment. Instead, they would have been in this situation. All right, now, just a quick recap of the official AEW rankings as of March the 10th. For the men's division, the champ is Kenny Omega. He's 2-0 in 2021, 40-10 overall. the TNT champ. Darby Allin's 2-0 in 2021. His record is 24-13-1 overall. Number 1 is Pop, 3-0, and overall he's 15-8-1. Hangman Page is 3-0. His overall record's 34-13. Jon Moxley's number 3. His overall record is 36-6-1. Number 4 is Cody Rhodes, who's 2-1 with a 35-11-2 overall record. And at number 5, which is Miro, who's 2-0 with an overall 7-0 record. All right, the women's division, the champ is Hikaru Shida, which she's 2-1 in 2021 with a 32-7 overall record. Then you have Red Velvet, who's 4-0 with an 11-2 record overall. Taya Conti, who's 6-2, who's 14-4 overall. Then you got Nyla Rose, who's 5-1, who's 26-8 overall. Then you got Britt Baker, who's 4-1, 21-12 overall. And then number 5, you have Ryo Mitsunani, who's 4-1 with a 5-1 record overall. Now, for the tag team division, of course, you got the champs, the Young Bucks. They're 1-0 in 2021, 32-12 overall. Next up, number 1 ranked is SCU, who's 6-0 in 2021. FTR's number 2, they're 2-0. Jurassic Express is 4-0. Then at number 4, it's Jericho and MJF is 3-1. And then at number 5, you got Pac and Rey Fenix. All right, and who fell out of the top 5 was Top Flight. Okay. All right, AEW announced that Jungle Boy will take on Danny Limelight is what's being billed as the first ever AEW Dark Elevation match. And Dark Elevation will officially premiere on March 15th, which is tomorrow, at 7 p.m. on YouTube. Tony Schiavone and Paul White will serve as commentators for the event, which will showcase AEW established and rising star, as well as top independent wrestlers within the industry competing against each other in the ring in pursuit for wins. Now, says AEW Revolution reportedly grossed over $6 million according to This Week Wrestling Observer newsletter. The number could be closer to $7 million once everything is accounted for, making AEW's biggest pay-per-view to date. This would also be the best non-WWE pay-per-view in the U.S. since 1999. All right, so in other wrestling news, Impact Wrestling returns to filming in Nashville tomorrow, March 15th, and film for 7 days. The roster will also return in April for Rebellion and subsequent tapings, in which will feature Kenny Omega. The members of the team that we've spoken to say that they will likely be a near long month of tapings for the of late as to keep up with the changes of the landscape in wrestling. Now, there was a huge gap between mid-November to mid-January for tapings before they resumed monthly. Okay, the NWA is set to return to action March 21st with a pay-per-view offering Back for the Attack. The event will air on Fight TV. Ahead of the event, NWA is making daily announcements who will be appearing at the event, and Fightful will continue to update the thread as more talent is announced. So far been announced Slice Boogie, Crimson, Jordan Clearwater, Titus, and Chris Adonis. NWA World Champion Nick Adonis will defend his title on the show as well. He recently told Busted Open Radio that his opponent may come out of left field, but he's excited about the match. Okay, and Ring of Honor has announced its 6-man World Tag Team title match for the upcoming Ring of Honor 19th anniversary show. It's just been announced that Shane Taylor Promotion, Shane Taylor, Moses, and Khan will defend their ROH World 6-man tag team titles against the Mexi Squad, which is Bandita, Flamita, and Ray Hortus at the big event. Mexi Squad just dropped the titles to STP last month. The ROH 19th anniversary show will take place Friday, March 26th at the UBMC Event Center in Baltimore, Maryland, and it will air on pay-per-view, Honor Club, and Fight TV. Every title in ROH will be defended that night, and the 4-hour show will begin with the 1-hour show, which airs for free at 8 o'clock on Honor Club. Best on Planet, Sears City, Facebook, YouTube, Fight, and Carrier's channel, the pay-per-view. Alright, now, this is the updated ROH 19th anniversary card. You had the world title match, Jay Lethal versus the Champ Rouge. World television title match, Tracy Williams versus Dragon Lee. The World 6-man match, Mexican Squad versus the Champs, Shane Taylor Promotions. And then a grudge match, EC3 versus Jay Briscoe. Alright, so we're going to get into, by far, one of my favorite segments of the J.Raw Wrestling Podcast, and that'll be the top 10 of the week. Then we're going to do the botch and the high spots of the week, and that's it for this episode. All right, so for my top 10, and I always put the disclaimer out there, this is no particular order. There's no right, no wrong. This is just my preference of the top 10 tag teams I'm feeling right now. We're going to start with number 10, Private Party. Number 9, Pride and Powerful, which is Santana and Ortiz. Number 8 is Gallus. Number 7 is New Day. Number 6, The Foundation, Jonathan Gresham and Jay Lethal. Number 5, Good Bros. Number 4, Hurt Business. Number 3, Pac and Phoenix. Number 2, GODs. And number 1 is the Young Bucks. All right. As far as my high spot, without a shadow of a doubt, I mentioned it earlier, it has to be the street fight that was on Rebellion with Sting and Darby Allin versus Team Taz. Amazing match, cinematic match. Told a great story. That's why I had to make it my hot spot of the week. And of course, without a shadow of a doubt, the botch of the week has to be the way to end after the exploding barbed wire match. I mean, it's been killed, reviewed, so ain't too much I gotta say, but everybody knows it sucked. So that's pretty much the end of the J.Raw Wrestling Podcast. Broke this down into 2 parts for you guys. Hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you go to Castbox, BOX, /One Struggle Radio. Make sure you go to SoundCloud. You can also check us on Spreaker and YouTube. Quick shout outs and plugs. Want to shout out the whole One Struggle fam. Of course, plug in Big Bro, DJ Hardcore Productions. Don't forget, go to eventbrite.com. Check out the info on the showcase coming up April the 10th. Got plenty of time because it's only, March 14th. So make sure you go to eventbrite.com /DJ Hardcore Productions. Get more information. Also shouting out Nodes G, the VP, Reno Bryce. Can't forget all my fan flames, the vet, KJ, Bush Boys, you know what I'm saying? Can't forget the extended family, Cozy Mohi, everybody down with the whole One Struggle movement. Can't forget plugging all the Facebook groups your boys involved with. And that'd be Russell Cave, Wrestling Marks. Shout out to them. Shout out to True Hills. And yeah, pretty much it. That's what we're going to end the show. Once again, make sure you go to CastBoxBoxFM.com. You can get this. Be up later on the day, part 1 and 2. Also on SoundCloud, Spreaker. We're on there at One Struggle Radio and YouTube. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to slide on up out of here. Hope you guys enjoy episode 18. Also, later on the day, I'll record the NXT and NXT UK recap. Get that up for you guys. Going to stay diligent as possible on 2021, getting that content up for you guys. And hope you guys enjoy. Appreciate y'all's support and look forward to another great wrestling week. All right, deuces. Peace.